What's this? Oh yeah, Birmingham. Birmingham's stinking right now. Beefing over there in Birmingham, in the main streets of Birmingham. Birmingham bin strikes. The media is missing the point. What's this?
The rubbish is piling up.
Week 6 of this all-out strike.
A major incident. Military being brought in. Does it really stink?
Military being brought in? Does it really stink?
Yes.
Bins overflowing, rats squeaking, used.
I remember in London a little while ago there was a little bin strike, and that was stinky.
Condoms.
Rats the size of dinosaurs.
Dinosaur rats? Well, that's unrealistic.
If you've been watching the news, you might think that what's happening in Birmingham right now is about massive rats that are somehow more massive because of mass migration. Mainstream coverage has run the gamut from individual citizen outrage to full-on racist dog whistles.
That's fucking madness. How did they get to that conclusion? Massive rats because of migration, huh?
But the reality for the city's bin workers, who've been on all-out strike since March 11th, is a fight back against
Since March 11th.
It's an £8,000 a year pay cut. We've come to Birmingham to speak to the workers who, along with citizens, are at the sharp end of 15 years of austerity to find out who's really causing the stink in Birmingham.
We're not asking for any more money. We're not asking for money. People think that we're asking for money. We're not. We just want to keep the wages that we're on now. That is all we're asking for.
Bloody hell, is that what it is? They're just fighting to keep their wage. What are they looking to do? Lower the wage?
My rent has gone up by £30.
How are you expecting people to exist? The rent is going up. Prices are going up. We're just watching videos about price hikes and tariffs and how it's going to affect everything. Then how are you expecting people to survive, right, while the wages are going down? What are you doing? It's a ploy so then it makes you reliant on the state.
Council tax has gone up by £15. We're in a cost of living crisis. Everything's going up, and suddenly I'm back to where I was 7-8 years ago. They are threatening to take 25% of my wage. We already agreed to a £1,200 loss, and now the council have taken £6,200 off me. So I've lost near enough £8,000, and I'm a father of 5. So I've got
Jesus Christ, my brother.
at least 20 years left in this job. So that's £144,000 in potential earnings that I've lost, gone.
People can lose their homes because when you go for a mortgage, it goes on how much money that you earn. If you're losing that amount of money, you're going to lose your home, or you're going to have to go and get a second job. And I'm not being funny. I will never, ever, ever vote Labour again. Ever will I vote Labour again. All they have done, as you're seeing on the news,
people upsetting
they've lied and lied. They weren't going to put the council tax up. They put the council tax up. They was going to give the old age pension eating allowance. They've took the eating allowance off them. The closing line was the closing swimming pools for them to take a pay rise.
Fucking disappointing, innit? Fucking disappointing.
Take money off us, and we're the working people, and they're sitting in the warm. We're out in the rain, the snow, the wind. We've got to carry on picking the bins up. We've got to carry on picking the bins up when we're soaking wet. We can't go in there and, I'll tell you what, I'll get drawn up. We can't do that. We've just got to carry on. But they can sit in their office, drinking tea, having bacon sandwiches or whatever they eat.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, she's fucking spot on. Yeah.
And we can't.
Most of the people they seem to be attacking are the people that have been here 15, 20 years. They want people fresh out of college. It'll be like working at like McDonald's doing, employing students. That's what I think they want, because they can
silly cunts,
hire them as they want.
Yeah, silly damn cunts, disposable.
Our feeling is we're the first, we won't be the last. If they can do this to us, they will do it to anyone.
Yeah, and these are people that have been there for years. It's terrible. It's heartbreaking, honestly.
All right, lads and ladies, I know it's freezing, I know it's cold, but thank you for coming today. We need to stay strong. So, see you tomorrow, guys and ladies!
These workers are fighting back against cuts. But how did we get here? In 2010, David Cameron was elected as Prime Minister on a platform of austerity,
That geezer.
Austerity decimated local government funding, with Birmingham City Council having its spending power cut by 36%. It was in this context that Birmingham's bin workers went on strike for 7 weeks in 2017 over plans to cut jobs. To end that strike, the council created a new role, the Waste Recycling and Collection Officer, paid up to £8,000 more. Even though we met Maxine, refuse collectors are predominantly male. That led women workers in traditionally female roles in other parts of the council, cleaners and caterers, to argue that it was unfair that they didn't get that kind of pay, and took the council to court. They won their equal pay claim. To settle that equal pay claim, Birmingham Council predicted it would have to spend up to £750 million. That staggering bill tipped Birmingham City Council into declaring itself effectively bankrupt in 2023. Then Lieutenant Secretary, and one of austerity's biggest cheerleaders, Michael Gove, stepped in. He parachuted in a team of 6 unelected and extremely well-paid commissioners to take over the day-to-day running of Birmingham's council. This whole sorry saga is one big mess. So, to understand it better, we came to meet Birmingham native and local journalist Kate Knowles.
You had this really quick succession of events. So the government stepped in, Michael Gove, local government secretary at the time, appointed these 6 commissioners, the lead commissioner of whom is really renowned in local government circles, called Max the Axe Caller, which is an indication of how much he likes to make cuts, right? And for them and for him, and he's very plain about it, he's the best value commissioner. Their approach is always, how can we save money? How can we cut back? And it's austerity focused. It's very rapid as well.
Fucking hell,
once
man.
that set of actions was in motion, it's really impossible to stop. You know, the commissioners are in place and they're doing what they're doing, and if you've got to get out of their way, basically. And one of the really frustrating things, I think, for a lot of people is to find out recently, literally in the last couple of weeks, that equal pay bill that was revealed to be back in 2023 is £760 million is £250 million. That's the actual figure. So that kind of discrepancy between...
So where do the other fucking 500 million go then?
Those two figures, I think a lot of people can want answers about that. And Max Caller will say, oh, it doesn't matter. The council was in a financial distress anyway, and it has its problems, which it did. It had to pay for this IT system that went disastrously wrong. So those issues existed.
Jesus Christ.
But this equal pay bill was a lot smaller than we were told it was, and I don't really understand why we were ever told that. If we weren't,
why that? Pure terror.
Section 114, which might not have led to the commissioners, which might not have led to the cuts.
So it turns out it won't cost the council £760 million to compensate those women workers, but something more like £250 million. Despite that, the cuts that the council are imposing remain based on this worst-case £760 million projection. And the man overseeing those cuts, the biggest in local government history, is the man Kate just mentioned, Max the Axe Caller. Appointed by Gove, he and the other commissioners aren't elected. That's raised questions about who is really making the political decisions here and what that means for local democracy.
Deadly. He seems deadly. He actually seems a little bit deadly, innit? One of them deadly fucking geezers.
I mean, if this kind of interference is happening, there's definitely like a big question there about, well, how democratic is that? Our councillors are elected. They're supposed to be representing us and making decisions on our behalf. But potentially you've got someone who's been brought in, paid a lot of money on a day rate to make decisions that we don't have any say in. And then potentially they also result in the strikes that we're seeing now.
Kate's revelations are shocking, but when I look around at media coverage, all I find are stories about cannibal rats and dog whistles as loud as foghorns. One glaring example is Tory Minister Robert Jenrick, bizarrely acting as a roving GB News reporter whose video dispatch from Handsworth talks about a minority of people who have no respect for their communities and zooms in on rubbish while the Islamic call to prayer plays in the background. What does Kate make of how the strike has been covered?
What the fuck is that?
The media coverage has been...
That was ridiculous.
...really interesting. You're seeing a lot of the same kind of stories. They all really want to get the worst possible pictures of the bins that they can, like as tall a pile of bin bags as they can. They're obsessed with this phrase, rats as big as cats. And there have also been so many articles now about we spent the day with a rat catcher, or like this rat catcher or this pest control guy is like the best most highly paid person in the city at this point, and he can't, he's working 24/7. I can see why from a clicks perspective that they're going for these stories, but it's not necessarily getting to the meat of the issue.
Yeah.
As a city, I think most people just really want our city to work, and we're just really tired, really tired of going around in circles again and again.
Yeah.
I've been watching it on the news. The rats, bigger than some of the cats around there just lately.
It's a shame, really, because I think generally, as bad of a rep as it gets, Birmingham's actually quite a nice city. But obviously, when you see bins everywhere, and you'll find that it's actually in areas that are predominantly maybe ethnic minorities. So, for example, Sparkhill, Sparkbrook, and a lot of people use this as an example to perpetuate maybe racial hatred that they get.
Yeah, that's
which
silly.
obviously, as a minority myself, it's not particularly nice to see.
Do you know what the strike is about?
I believe it's because there's been a cut of about £6,000 to some of the jobs that the council is supposed to provide to those who work in the bin area, and there's been a debate debate as to whether to pay that money or not. I don't understand whether the actual council lacks the funds to do so, but I believe that's been the narrative, unless I'm wrong or mistaken.
And would you say you've got sympathy with the striking workers?
Of course.
Sympathy? I would say yes. I don't really understand the payment system that is required.
Like they're getting paid cuts while everything goes up. No.
The council, just out to the general public, should be able to clear the litter up as well. I was in Manchester a few weeks ago, and it's lovely there. There's literally no single rubbish or any piece of litter. So I think it is. I do sympathise. Yeah.
As residents swerve rubbish in the streets, talks between the union and the council to resolve the dispute are ongoing. To find out more, we headed over to Unite the Union's office to speak to One Kassab. He's Unite's man at the negotiating table, and we managed to catch up with him before he headed off for another round of negotiations.
It's a dangerous job, and it's a very dirty job. It's a very demanding job. And what we've seen with the strike action and the impact of the strike action is that it is a vital job. And to put it in very stark terms, when these workers are not working, we end up with a public health emergency. That's how important their job is.
He's fucking right. Yeah. So what, you cut their jobs?
The dispute is around pay cuts, and that's the single most important thing, because there's been a lot of misrepresentation. So it is about a cut in pay. Initially, we see 150 roles deleted, and as a result of that, then people get downgraded from what's called a grade 3 down to a grade 2. And the bottom of the grade 2, compared with the grade 3 post, means that people lose around £8,000. So it's 150 roles deleted. Now, the council have attempted to say that nobody's going to lose pay as a result. That's nonsense, even based on their own proposals. The council's proposals, if allowed to stand, would mean that people get paid only just above the national minimum wage.
Yeah, no, that's not right.
Taking into account what they're doing, that's absolutely appalling.
Yeah.
In 2023, Birmingham effectively declared itself bankrupt, and Michael Gove appointed 6 commissioners to oversee and scrutinise financial planning. What role have they had in this dispute?
Well, the commissioners have not been involved in the negotiations, and my guess is that decisions go to the commissioners. Now, that's interesting, because commissioners should only be here for guidance. That's what the legislation says. That's what the guidance says from the government. The commissioners here to guide the council. I think it's likely that they're actually the final rubber stamp for any decisions that are being made.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's also interesting because we talk about cost.
I think so.
And yet we look at the cost of commissioners. There was one commissioner who, for September of last year, his expenses, hotels, etc., and fees, just for 1 month came to around £18,000.
What the fuck are they doing? Huh?
For commissioners, we reckon it's about 1,400 quid a day.
1,400 quid a day?
In itself. It's undemocratic. It should be local councils who are making those final decisions.
People that are elected should be making them final decisions, not some commissioner earning 1,400 quid a day. Are you fucking... This madness, bruv. Madness.
So the commissioners were brought in under the Tories, under the Labour government. They should be taken out. And the council should be allowed to make its own decisions. Instead of bringing in commissioners
now
to police how cuts are made, for public service workers.
While
and
paying them an exorbitant amount.
Community who are seeing huge cuts in a number of areas in Birmingham. What would be better is to, for instance, look at the debt in Birmingham. £3 billion is the debt. £250 million a year is the repayments. 90% of that goes to the Treasury. So if we want an immediate resolution as far as costs are concerned, the government can step in. They can restructure the debt repayments. They can look at the interest rate that's being charged on that, which is higher than the standard rates.
Yeah.
By doing that, well, that gives Birmingham then some flexibility to try and resolve this dispute as far as cost is concerned. But in the longer term, what we would want is councillors, politicians to make political decisions. For councillors not to simply be acting
this guy knows.
as administrators of cuts.
Yeah.
What would be good to see is them enact our policy, which is to call on councils to pass needs-based, no-cuts budgets, which you can do legally, and then to use sort of borrowing powers, use reserves to fill any short-term gaps, and we know that's only short-term.
Yeah.
But at the same time to be uniting with trade unions and communities to fight for the money.
It's the most important. You've got to stay with the communities and the unions. That's the people.
The local government.
This is what you're meant to serve.
Needs. That should be the political choices that they are making. So, for some, they may find that hard to do, but that is the reality. Otherwise, what we are seeing now in Birmingham is potentially going to be faced by council after council. What's going on in Birmingham is about austerity. That's what this is about. It's austerity Mark II. It's about local government cuts, and it's about attempting to force through a position whereby refuse workers are forced to pay for austerity. It really is as simple as that. It's about nothing else. What we're looking at is the end result of well over a decade of Tory cuts and Tory austerity.
Yeah.
Leaving Birmingham, this all strikes me as the perfect case study for what's happened to public services since 2010. It's a story of how the paying conditions for a once good job have been eaten away at. It's about how we collectively make sense of the legacy of a decade of austerity and the decimation it's wrought on local government. And it's about democracy, particularly given what we've heard about the unelected commissioners picked by Michael Gove who've been brought in to administer the deepest cuts in local government history. Since then, Labour has been elected nationally. Replacing Michael Gove as local government secretary is Angela Rayner. We heard today that she could remove the commissioners if she wanted. But she hasn't, and those commissioners remain in their posts. And it's these commissioners that Oni told us have the real power to end the dispute.
Yeah.
In hiding behind highly paid, unelected commissioners, people here see Labour as the party of managers and bureaucrats, a party that Maxine told us she'd never vote for again. Ahead of May's local elections around the country, Labour's polling is looking bleak. As people abandon Labour, there are other parties hoping to mop up disaffected voters leaving in droves and position themselves as the real champions of working people. In Birmingham, at Reform's recent rally ahead of local elections, Farage said potholes were the perfect symbol for broken Britain. The party's slogan for the elections is "Britain is broken, Reform will fix it."
Okay.
There are deep problems here in Birmingham, everyone agrees on that, but who should have to pay for them? In striking, workers like Sam and Maxine are saying loudly that it won't be them. What happens next remains to be seen, but until then, the bin bags are going to keep piling up and the legacy of austerity will continue to be felt.
It's tragic, really. They're needed. The job is very much needed. And they make cuts to them sort of people. They make them pay. Nah, it's not right. It's not right at all. Great video though. I'm gonna give that channel a subscribe. Novara Media. It'll be in the description. And yeah, go show some love. Great video. It's actually quite sad though.